lion. I step into a room set on fire. The drums in my chest fill the silence. I break the walls and end all denial. They know when she feel the rhythm, they know what they're about to witness. Let go when my eyes cut deeper, my eyes cut deeper, my eyes cut deeper. They know when she feel the rhythm, they know what they're about to witness. Let go when my eyes cut deeper, 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 my eyes cut deeper. I stare into the eyes of a giant.
Alrighty, good fucking morning, everyone. Hope you guys doing well. Happy Monday. Feels good to be streaming publicly after a while. We don't stop the streams in Paragon, obviously. Stream still every week, but the public stream motivation has been low recently. So, I'm just going to pop on here whenever I feel like I got stuff to say. If nothing's really changing week to week, all it really is intra-week plans. And I don't know how many of you guys are actually, Bitcoin day traders, scalpers, intraday traders. So I don't know how much value you guys are going to perceive in low time frame New York session movements. Just realized the intro's still on. All right. As you guys can see by the stream title, some juicy topics to talk about, some speculating. Probably a little early for this, but I figured why not. Let's scroll up and see who's here. Good morning. Good morning, Fugazi. Good morning, Nelly. Good morning, JP. Living, good to see you, man. F. Nordy. Good morning, Kent. Pet Rose. BKR. Hasael? I don't know how to say your name. Good morning, Livid. What's going on, boys? What's going on, AIM? Gauze. Scalping every day couldn't be me. Absolutely could be you, man. Oh wait, Livid said that. Livid, how's your trading been going, dude? Are you getting trades like every day, or are we very selective still? I haven't talked trading with you in a bit. Maybe we'll save that for Wednesday. We'll save that for Wednesday. Okay. So, the big BTC in 2026. What are we thinking? All right, guys. So, here's the way that I see this. There was I would say, pure speculative stance that I had sometime in November, December last year of I would say just pulling at straws. We didn't have the craziest bull market of all time. And I don't mean that by price appreciation, because Bitcoin did put in 8x, I think, low to high, which is very impressive. I think at the peak it was, someone could correct me if I'm wrong, I think sixth biggest market cap of any, equity, commodity, whatever in the world. I think sixth or seventh. We were pretty good. This is before the metals run. And obviously some stock market rippers, but we had a really good cycle, I thought. But the way that Bitcoin kind of evolved through this cycle was less absolute, blatant, single-sided, manic rippers and more consolidations. So to me, this is the first cycle Bitcoin has ever put in any kind of repricing along a bull market. And what I mean by that is we spent 6 months between 20 and 30K in 2023. We spent 8 or 9 months, trading at 50 to 60K, right? We spent a good amount of time above 100K. So to me, versus last cycle and the cycle before, where it was just a single line up, which often leads to a single line down, as you guys are used to with shitcoins, this cycle built a lot of value on the way up. So I thought that nuking through this is going to take some kind of very strong crypto-specific event, like a 3AC, like an FTX, like a BlockFi, Celsius, Luna. And we're 8 months in since the top now. Now, historically, Bitcoin bear markets are about a year. We're 8 months in, and we haven't really seen anything, right? All we've really gotten is, the same war stuff that we've been hearing about forever. We heard about it in the bull market. We're hearing about it in the bear market. I don't know about you guys, but I don't really care about it. I don't think it's really affecting Bitcoin price at all. Bitcoin had already gotten decimated from basically 100K to 60K, and this is where really we started hearing about the headlines. Did it really matter? Not really, right? Last week or 2 weeks ago, we got some, small Bitcoin sells from Saylor, sold 32 Bitcoin. That led the market to believing, Saylor's getting ready, he's testing liquidity, he's going to sell $1 billion, $2 billion, yada, yada. Saylor's the next big black swan, and let's be bearish for this. And that led to kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy of a bunch of selling that came in that took us down very fast. To me, that wasn't surprising because I was kind of sounding the alarms as we traded up into the weekly trend that this is not a place to be bullish. I know I wasn't streaming, but hopefully you guys have been reading the cookbooks, right? I think I said that in the cookbook 4 straight weeks or something, right? We're trading in the weekly trend, be cautious, right? We can get some upside, but this is not the all-in swing long moment anymore. So natural rejection, right? Sailor FUD came in. What do the bears do with it? All we really did so far is kind of swipe yearly lows. I don't think it's the most dramatic sell-off yet, right? And what have we done since then? We're bouncing back up, back into this prior 2-month value. The same way that when we dropped back into value, we nuked from composite value area high to composite value area low in a day. Very inefficient move, single-sided selling. There's a possibility of something equally on the opposite end, right? As we trade back into this value, if we can hold into this region, if we can hold basically above 65K, I think there's an opportunity to trade a bunch higher. The next time I would be likely to take more of a bearish stance and say, let's be cautious, let's hedge, let's not be, brain dead bulls here, is going to be when we trade in the weekly trend again. Why the weekly trend? I think this chart represents it the best, but the weekly trend is the God trend on Bitcoin, right? The weekly trend is the God trend, right? And we respect what the market respects. So if we trade back into this again, we're going to take a step back and say, okay, these is prior highs. This is where we found sellers. This is where we found slowing momentum on the bullish side. This is the most respected trend in the market. Let's take it easy here. But what this does, even if we reject again, so we trade up in here, we reject again, what this is doing is just building out value. Long-standing value, the same way we did kind of pre-FTX, post-FTX, etc. This is what we want to see for a bear market bottom. And I think it's very early to call something like this. There's no way to predict if new unforeseen FUD comes out, right? Luna maybe been slightly, some people were on the right side of the Luna trade and thought that was going to blow up inevitably. No one saw 3AC coming. No one saw FTX coming. Those are, legitimate black swans. So in the market right now with Bitcoin, I think devoid of any catastrophic news and FUD, I think we're going to start seeing a slight momentum loss. Now, I'm not saying that, last week is the Pico bottom and we'll never revisit these prices. In fact, my actual model, maybe it's better represented on the VWAP scan. I'm going to show you guys the VWAP scan real quick, is over here, right? And I think I've talked to you guys about this too, again, in the cookbook, going over it on streams and everything like that, is the 2024 values. So 2024 value area high, 2024 VWAP, 2024 value area low. This was a phenomenal game plan for us back in 2024, right? When we dropped with the tariff FUD, once again, CT, wherever you want to look at it, I was once again looking for that momentum loss into the FUD confluent with the 2024 value area high, right? That was the sort of region where I was looking for the bounce. When we drop below it, the next natural target is going to be 2024 VWAP. This past week, or 2 weeks ago, I guess, when we got the Sailor FUD, it definitely opened the door for me to speculate that we could probably get 50K, which is 2024 value area low. I guess we just, ran out of momentum from the sellers. You guys can see this from low time frame scans being the, I think the hourly trend was your God trend. I think I have to pull it up on this chart on the way down, right? Check how clean the hourly trend was. You can use this. You can use, an anchored VWAP. You can use the weekly profile. All of these were demonstrating the same thing: single-sided, pure selling, respecting 1SD value area low on the anchored, respecting the weekly value area low of the week of the sell-off. When we got the squeeze above the hourly trend, that's when I tweeted on CT, look, guys, I think we can build out a range here, right? So plans a little shifted, right? On a high time frame, we're thinking lower possibly. When the hourly trend breaks and we start forming that comp there, we say, okay, that's no longer in the local cards, right? We're not thinking of immediate downside from here. We're thinking about range bound trading. And then the next plan being what I put out on CT was the monthly VWAP, right? When the monthly VWAP is being respected like this, we respect the monthly VWAP, right? This is the same thing as your, first week of the month. It was your weekly, turned into the monthly as the weekly closed. Right? Respecting outside of value, rotating back into value. The next logical target when we continue to hold monthly value area lows is monthly value area high. And that's where we are. That's where we are at this very moment. Right? So to me, to summarize everything I just said here, I'm optimistic, number one, right? I'm optimistic on the high time frame that without any crazy FUD coming out, I think this is the start of bearish momentum loss. It's very early. What I would kind of say, if I had to give you guys a one-to-one comparison, maybe we're somewhere in here, right? some version of this, right? Where, you know, in 2024, when I was selling my bags and saying I don't really see the opportunity remaining to the upside, it took quite a while for that thesis to play out, right? It took about a year or maybe 8 months for that whole thing to play out. Yes, Bitcoin made a higher high. It kind of didn't amount to much. And I think we're in a similar situation right now where I'm looking at the market and I'm going, should I be pressing to the downside? Should I be defensive? Should I be looking for opportunity? And if I tally and, you know, all the boxes and come to a conclusion, what my kind of gut instinct here is for me to say we're 8 months into the bear market, start looking for signs of momentum loss, start looking for signs of a range forming, start looking for trends to flip, start looking for opportunity in markets, right? So what I've been doing is taking advantage of these big pukes, the February puke and the puke from 2 weeks ago, and just stacking a little bit of spot Bitcoin chips, right? And just saying, look, I've got ammo, but I want to get exposure to the asset that brought me to this industry in the first place, which is Bitcoin, right? I'm here because of Bitcoin. I believe in Bitcoin. If I didn't believe Bitcoin's going to new all-time highs, I wouldn't be in crypto, right? I would have moved over to equities. If I believe that, you know, there's not going to be opportunity from 50K, 40K, 60K back to 130, 140 higher, right? I think that's a very clean-cut trade, and I think that's going to provide lots of opportunities across the market. Rising tide lifts all boats type shit, right? So that's the way I'm looking at the market, and I'm attacking it from a point of optimism at this moment, and just looking for opportunities, right? And saying kind of like, whatever the bears got left, you know, bring it on. You know, let's see what news you can use to your advantage. Let's see what you can sell off. Let's see how you can get people to capitulate, whether it's through time, whether it's through price. And be in an opportunity-seeking behavior at this moment, right? You guys can see this one for other coins. Like Hyperliquid doesn't give a damn about anything. It just keeps ripping. Looks fantastic, right? Coins that are forgotten and people don't care about, like a Solana, yeah, it's going to perform badly. Yeah, ETH is going to perform badly. But when I see Bitcoin right here, I see optimism, right? And if you want to just take a kind of 2 IQ approach to this and just look at this from like a monthly chart, I think it's opportune as well, right? Remember, 8 months into a bear market. Yes, we've got, you know, historically speaking, 4 months left. Again, I don't know how much I believe in 4-year cycles, but as long as it keeps playing out, like, how does it serve me to be a 4-year cycle denier? Anyways, that is a lot of opening yap. Does anyone have any questions on Bitcoin from here? I can get more specific. We can talk about, you know, weekly VWAP scans, monthly VWAP scans, yearly, etc., local game plans. A lot more to discuss for sure, but I will stop there, read chat for a minute, take a breath, drink some Red Bull. I wish I could put YouTube chat like up on screen the same way we do for like Discord with the Paragon streams. Alt season starting? I don't know about all that, Aaron. It's Victim. Good morning, Victim. Going well. Nice. Love to hear that. Others BTC chart is interesting. Remind me later. I can take a look at that. My trade is selected, but I have 8 charts up so I can get it frequently. Nice, man. FUD feeling real right at that low feels nice for close to a bottom. I mean, local bottom for sure, right? Signals. I've taught this for years to you guys, whether it's on stream or on CT. I think I have maybe a thread on this for trend loss and stuff like that. The most dominant trend when it breaks, guys, look for number 1, a range, number 2, a reversal, and number 3, which does happen but is least likely of the 3, is reclaim and continuation. So breaking the hourly trend a few weeks ago was signal to me to say, okay, let's look for this range-bound environment. What framework can I use? This is the one that I tweeted out on CT, which is previous week's values. When we close within previous week's value like this, you open up the next week thinking about previous week's value area low holding, right? This provided good trade opportunities for us. The previous week's value area high was respected over the weekend. I woke up this morning, Bitcoin's all the way up here already, and I'm saying, okay, well, let's use the monthly VWAP framework and let's see if we can get a trade out of this, right? This is the monthly VWAP framework, so I knew that there's at least a little bit more EV on the upside, at least for now. We haven't tagged any major resistance yet. Let me look for some dip buying opportunities. New York opened, a little bit of a bleeder, gave me an opportunity to send along off of a daily value area high reclaim. Worked out perfectly. Monthly value area high tagged. There's the executions you guys can see if you want. But yeah, I mean, I think it's still a phenomenal trading environment. I've been really enjoying myself trading pretty much every day. Got a little burnt out a little bit recently, but that's long gone now. So been a good trading environment, but I think, soon, right? I feel like I've just been a trade maxi from, I mean, where did it really start? It was like December, January 2024 into 2025 until today. It's been a very long time that I've just been, a trader, not really caring about altcoins. Don't worry about spot. Don't worry about anything. And I can see the tides maybe slowly shifting. Again, I do want to say it with a little bit of a disclaimer, is that it might be a little early still, right? There's no definitive signs. We don't really have a weekly trend compression yet. We don't have a long enough range yet. We don't have any trend breaks yet. We're not building value higher yet. We don't have any higher highs yet. There's no confirmation signals of anything yet. But what I think it would pay is mentally starting to shift your mindset a little bit. So I've done that a little bit and said, okay, where's the opportunity in the market? Where can I get good trades to the upside? What coins across the market are going to provide any type of value to me, whether it's, soon or in the future being something like a Bitcoin. Like, I'm not looking for 100K tomorrow or next week or even this year. It's more of a, let me stack some chips when the times are bad and sell it to people when the times are good, right? Good morning, Scraptics. Good morning, 2 Minute. Chances MicroStrategy blows up. If you weren't around in 2022, bro, a lot of the 2022 narrative was Saylor blowing up. People put this number out. They're like, okay, we liquidate Saylor at 3K. 3K is where he gets liquidated. And they're just making up narratives. Like, there was no chance of Saylor getting, quote, liquidated, right? That's not in the cards for Saylor. That's not the way his thing is structured. He's not running perp positions where he has a liquidation price. Chance's strategy blows up. I really wish he didn't introduce that STRC, whatever that thing's called. I really wish he didn't introduce that vehicle, because that is just more leverage in the market. But, my tinfoil hat theory is that if MicroStrategy ever got into a point where it needed to liquidate assets, like if it ever got that bad, I think there would be like a buyout. I think there would be like, this is crazy, tinfoil hat, right? Like, take it with a grain of salt. But there's some part of me that thinks that there would be a buyout by another company, or even maybe the US, right? That's a cheeky way for the US to get exposure to Bitcoin without buying it on the open market. They could buy that Bitcoin at a discount from a distressed seller and not increase supply onto the market, and just say, we'll hold the coins for you, just sell them to us 50% off or whatever. We'll buy your company 50% off. And that's a cheeky way for, a government entity to get exposure to Bitcoin. Saylor has a lot of cash. It's unlikely they blow up. Yeah, I don't really see the whole blow up argument. I remember us going through the exact same thing in 2022. Doc, can I ask questions? Of course, man. Is this the first time we heard Doc say type shit on stream? It might have been, dude. Are you the reason Magus says it? It's definitely Nelly, dude. Nelly says that all the time. Gluck gluck, type shit, head ass. He's got some Zoomer lingo. It's not long till I start saying FR. What do I think of gold? Remind me in a bit. I'll check. I don't know if this has any relevance, but any thoughts on the Clarity Act? So the way that I treat any type of news is not the news itself, right? My job as a trader is not to try to diagnose whether a headline is bullish or bearish. It's rather to see how people respond to it, right? So if the market starts treating these things as bullish and you get spot buy pressure, that's quality bullish, right? If you get whipsaws off headlines up down through perps, it's going to be a non-issue. That's how I see the war stuff, right? It was just kind of non-issue whipsaw kind of price action for Trump headlines. So I'm going to ignore it, right? So I just want to see how the market's going to be responding to these things before I get a real opinion on it. I'm not going to say, it's short-term bullish, medium-term bullish, short-term bearish, right? I'd rather see how the positioning unfolds and how people trade around the event to learn how the market wants to, digest that information, and then plan and trade accordingly. What up, Savage? What do you think of the short from a monthly value area high for intraday move? I think first test, best test for sure. You would want to see without giving out too much sauce, you would want to see like positional opening into here. So let's take a quick look, right? It would be a great signal, right? Number one, if you've got, let's pull this up and let's see. Like you would want to see stacked asks, right? Thick order books on the spot side, 10% depths going negative for the, you would call it neutral for the first time. Very, very thick liquidity, right? Trading back into spot asks. So you would want to see spot bidders. Binance spot is basically flatlined. I don't really care about Coinbase too much. I'm really more interested in Binance. So you would ask, who's lifting today, right? Have the Perp bulls been, on it? Not really, not crazy. What you would really want to see is some type of absorption, right? So I believe Zero asked the question, so he's familiar with these concepts. So I would want to see someone get offsides, right? Otherwise, you can try to short first test, best test, right? So first test of the monthly VWAP gives you the best position of power, right? If you shorted the monthly VWAP the first time around, you're sitting in profits at this very moment, and you can have a rolling invalidation based on if buyers come in and eat through the liquidity above, I am incorrect in my thesis. If that doesn't happen, I can hold my short. When you see price crabbing around a POI like this, you kind of don't want to be undisciplined and just short randomly. I'm speaking on this for an intraday perspective, right? If you guys don't trade intraday, I guess you can ignore what I'm trying to say, because when you trade intraday, you want to be very clean and cut with your entries and your exits and your invalidations. You don't kind of want to just position willy-nilly saying, I think I'm bearish here, I think I'm bullish here, right? That's how you chop yourself up on low time frame. I have a singer's voice? I don't know about that, man. I can't sing. How much do you risk per trade on your intraday system, and how much R do you think is reasonable for a month? So the second part of your question is meaningless. So as a trader, you should never have monetary goals or percentage goals. I think it only serves to hurt you, right? Your goal is every single day to take the best trade available. And if there's no trades, you don't take a trade, right? Your discipline and your patience are your biggest weapons as a trader. So don't worry, don't set P&L goals. All it's there to do is stress you out. Oh, I'm behind, I'm ahead. Don't think about your performance. Do performance reviews, monthly reviews, quarterly reviews, yearly reviews, but don't worry about I'm ahead of schedule, I'm behind schedule, I need to make this R, because that forces you to take trades you wouldn't normally take, right? So that's number one. How much you risk per trade? Again, that's going to matter person to person, right? So the way that you have to think about this is, well, do I have an income? Number one. How much expendable cash do I have? How much cash do I need for investment purposes? How much cash do I need for trading purposes? What percentage of my trades, or how much margin do I need to cover my trades? What's the likelihood statistically of me losing 5 to 10 trades in a row? If that's low, I don't actually need that much margin in my trading accounts, right? Basically, the way my trading accounts are set up is just enough cash to cover a couple losses, like 5 or 10 losses, right? When that account starts growing, I just withdraw from the account. So what I've been doing in 2026 is the end of every single month since February. So since February, the end of every single month, I take out all the excess cash in my trading accounts and I put it in my spot accounts, looking to buy Bitcoin spot for cheap, right? So far, it's basically just been Bitcoin, right? I have picked up like 2 altcoins. One is doing very well. One is more for nostalgia's sake. Maybe I'll talk about that a little bit later. But yeah, I don't think in those terms, right? I think when I came in to being a trader as a rookie, I was, force fed this, you want to have 100% of your money in your trading account, and your trading account needs to be X amount of money, and then every trade needs to be 1R risk, and you want to fix your risk at 1R. And I think the only purpose that teaching serves is to teach you the value of risk management. You don't want to blow up your accounts. You want to bet small. You want to keep your sizing fixed, right? That's the real benefit of a system like that. But as you grow, you recognize, like, why is all of this dead cash even sitting in this account? What is it doing? For example, let me say this to you. If you have a $100,000 account and you're risking 1R per trade, what is that $99,000 doing in that account ever? What is it ever doing in there? It's doing fucking nothing, Okay, I lost 3 trades in a row. I'm down 3K. There's 97K sitting in that account doing nothing. You're never going to touch any of that, right? I don't think any of us are, you know, like, even if you're dumb, even if like you've never traded before and you're copy trading and whatever, yes, your account's going to bleed, but the likelihood of you losing 100 trades in a row is very low. The way people blow up their accounts is not by losing 100 trades in a row. The way they blow up their accounts is losing 2 or 3 and then trying to make it all back in one trade and size up and size bigger and martingale into the trade and try to save the trade and keep adding to the trade and keep adding to the trade till that one trade blows up the entire account. That's how everyone blows up accounts. They don't blow up accounts by losing 100 trades in a row. So once you've displayed enough discipline and competence in your trading, what the hell does having all that cash in your account do? It's doing nothing. It's just sitting pretty, looking pretty sitting there. You know you don't need that much cash in that account. So think about it in those terms. How are you trading some of the alts that are dislocated from price action? So that's a really good question. I think in hindsight now, when I do my like Q2 review, I will have like an emphasis that, hey, I could have probably made a better effort to trade some alts this quarter, right? I haven't really done that. I've made some really good calls on altcoins. Like I'm doing good analysis on Hyperliquid, for example, but I'm just not trading Hyperliquid. Why? Because my bread and butter, my like, I can trade this in my sleep is Bitcoin, right? It's so comfy for me to wake up, have my same routine, lock in, wait for New York Open, maybe sometimes pre-New York Open, trade the session, lock out or clock out, go on with my life. It's just so routine for me. So I've never felt the need or desire or FOMO to trade altcoins. But that being said, I think there's been phenomenal trades out there. I remember discussing ZEC with one of my friends recently when all that FUD happened. And he's like, what do you think of ZEC? And I was like, well, this is a very clean SR level for ZEC. And I think there's the weekly trend like right here too. If we can hold the weekly trend, it'll probably look pretty good, right? Played out perfectly. So there's great opportunity here for anyone that wants to trade altcoins. I think there's phenomenal moves out there. Hyperliquid's trading phenomenally clean as well, right? Prior all-time high SR. I don't know why this thing just froze. Reset, expansion candle, didn't fully retrace, no perfect retrace of prior SR. Consolidation, I think it broke the downtrends. Now you have a market structure break. Like it's trading beautifully. I just personally don't have the patience to long Hyperliquid and trade this on the daily chart or 4-hour chart right now, right? I'm milking it, or you know, for the last year or longer on BTC intraday. So for me, it hasn't been a core part of my strategy or anything that I've cared about. Holy questions! We got a lot of questions, huh? Let me see. Doc, can I ask if you long a level on low time frame, you're looking to take it to the mean? How do you know if it's got momentum or take a little while to develop before giving the bounce you look for? Man, I really wish I could give you like an ABC answer, but a lot of it's going to come down to discretionary experience. And what I mean by that is you take enough trades, you start developing a gut feel whether something has got momentum behind it or not. Like today, right, I had a decent enough faith because we've been holding and respecting the 15-minute trend really well. Yes, there's a little hiccup here. Extremely strong reclaim. Did not spend much time below it. Another strong markup, I believe this morning around 7 a.m. This leads me to the classic, you know, expansion, consolidation, right? We don't want to trade below this. I'm not looking for the daily VWAP. I'm looking for momentum and strength to be maintained. Yes, it's not fun to sit in this chop. Yes, it's not fun to sit in dragging, boring price action. I don't have order flow triggers from today. There's not like, oh, someone's off sides or spots ripping the book. It's more of just let the trade thesis play out, right? And take enough trades and you start seeing this. You know, again and again and again. So I really wish, Slime, I had like an ABC answer for you. If I see this, then this happens, this happens. And if I had a better example today, I'd go through it with you, but no better example today. This is just what we got today. How many exits did you have on today's trade? I guess 4. I took 1 right here as it's marked TP. But like these all are basically 1 TP, you know, it's just me slamming market sell into this ripper near monthly value area high. They're all kind of the same thing. So you could look at it as like 2 exits. I have a little runner left on this. That's TP's limit order at 76.3. So if this alert goes off, you guys will know that the final TP was hit. Sometimes it chops there, sometimes it gives a fake out of a bounce reversion. How do I know and see what needs to be respected? Maybe on 500 tick charts, so I cut early not to get the post. Slime, you're in Para, right? I know your name seems super familiar. Maybe former member, maybe current member. So like, you know that I cover this a lot more deeply when I do my trade reviews on Wednesdays. So maybe you've seen something in there. But yeah, what I would say to you, man, is the more levels of confluence you have working for you, the more time you should give your trades. The stronger and cleaner your invalidations are, the easier it's going to be for you to have confidence in your trades. The better your entries and your execution are, the more wiggle room you have to hold through the chop in your trades. Right? So not everything is going to be ABC when it comes to low time frame, right? Especially on low volume, kind of disinterested days like today, where we don't have much positioning. We're already trading at a premium. We had a really good relief balance. Now we're looking to catch kind of like pennies in front of the bulldozer, you know, because we have traded all the way up into the monthly value area high, which is the kind of main point of interest that I was looking at right now, right? So you have to be very tight with your ideas. Like, for example, this trade right here, if I started seeing it instead of rounding as I've drawn it, but rather bleeding, I don't want to be a part of that. I don't want to be a part of something that's bleeding from daily value area high towards the daily VWAP. I don't want to be a part of something that's bleeding through the 15-minute trend, as we've shown respect for the 15-minute trend, right? I'm in the short, no support from spot, not trying to overthink it here. Yeah, see, there's the thing, right? Like, even if you're taking a very uncomfortable position at a designated level of interest, and, you know, nothing's really happening on Agger, nothing's really happening anywhere, and, you know, one buyer could come in and be like, yeah, you know what, I just want some Bitcoin, and he market buys 500 Bitcoin, right? You're going to get stopped. You can't predict that. But what you have done is put yourself in the best position possible. You've executed at the level of interest, and now it's just all about seeing if the market agrees with you or disagrees with you, right? We don't really trade often with confirmation. We trade with high degree of speculation. We allow the market to prove us right or wrong. What do you advise? Actively trading while you're learning a system, or complete the learning and then start to trade? Curious about your thoughts. I think what you should do is develop a framework for yourself first. As simple as possible. Collect a few ABCs, print out a few rules for yourself. I'm only going to execute on this system. These are the tools that I'm going to use. This is the framework that I'm going to use. These are the indicators that I'm going to use. Very, very simple system, right? Do not flood your charts with 50 things, right? The more things you learn, the messier your charts are going to look naturally if you know how to use them all. But do not start with that. Keep it as simple as possible, and then learn the nuances of every tool, right? If you want to say, like, I'm going to start with trend trading and price action. Okay, clean your charts up, mark up, you know, liquidity breakers, etc. Throw on a 1 EMA, right? And learn the nuances of that system. Start trading alongside of it, right? A lot of people talk about, you know, chart time. I need chart time. I think there's some value to chart time for sure, but time in the trade teaches you more than chart time. Being in the trade, feeling the emotions of the trade, you know, watching your brain go crazy and thinking you're right, you're wrong, you're a genius, you're retarded, like going back and forth, dealing with that's going to teach you much, much more. And you're going to recognize, was my idea good, or did I just self-sabotage? And every trader along their journey learns that the biggest obstacle in their path to profitability is self-sabotage. And a lot of traders can't get over it. So I recommend trading as you learn, right? Just keep it very simple. To give us an idea of what can be achieved by full-time intraday trading, would you mind sharing total percentage gain on your main account over the last 3 months? The variational account, I didn't trade. I can pull it up right now. I could probably put it on the screen. It's not including today's trade, but here's past 6 months. It's like over 2x. Nothing fancy. But thing is, my trading's been split between Bybit and variational. Variational is low volume. It's easier for me to give you this screenshot though, so I'm just gonna give you this one. Hold on. It's very hard because I have to screenshot it on my laptop, which is a MacBook, and then post it on the trading view, connect that to my PC, which I'm streaming off of, so it's going to take me a minute as the laptop boots up, but I'll move on. I'll come back to that. But yeah, roughly speaking, I think it's 140% now. Do some mental math. Maybe a little bit less, 125% or something up since I started trading on variational again. I traded on variational a lot last year, like November, December into January. And then I had problems with slippage and fills during this. So I tried trading this on variational, this move right here, and I was just not getting filled, right? The market orders weren't getting filled. The slip, I had to set my slippage low, otherwise what the hell is the point? Like, you know, there's less liquidity on this platform. So I was missing a lot of trades during this like volatility, and I said fuck this, and I went back to Bybit, traded on Bybit from like here to here or something like that. Didn't trade much in the month of May, so I basically took all of May off from trading, and then I'm back on variational right now. I'm just basically trading on variational farm points for the airdrop. Can you also extrapolate, scale your trading performance into the future? If you doubled your account 3 months, can you really expect yourself to 16x the same account in a year? That's not how trading works now. I don't think about trading in terms of percentages anymore either. I think trading with percentages is probably the smartest thing to do when you have a smaller account. As your account grows and grows and grows, you naturally just start thinking in dollars. So I trade fixed size. It doesn't matter if my account grows or shrinks or whatever, right? Like I'm trading based on number of Bitcoin, and that number of Bitcoin is fixed based on my setups. And I'm not just randomly, okay, I've got more money now, let me just add another Bitcoin. Let me add another 3 Bitcoin. Let me add this. So I have more money. I don't scale my size with my account immediately. There's always a big lag, 6 months to a year of like, I've accumulated capital. This is my new net worth. This is how much capital I have. Okay, let's start sizing up a little bit. And when I size up, I'm not making the jumps. Let's say, for example, I 10x'd my account, right? Through the course of my time in crypto of like 1,000x my net worth. Does that mean my sizing has gone up 1,000x? No, that's not how that works, right? So if you're scaling your sizing 1-to-1 with your capital growth, then maybe those plans that you're saying are achievable, but that's not how I scale. I'm not scaling 1-to-1 like that. I'm scaling very slow because trading is a mental game. The more you size up, the more pressure that is on you, the more your volatility is on your P&L when you enter a chart, right? It's a mental game at the end of the day. And when you leave your comfort zone, right, and you start thinking about this and you're feeling more stressed and you're more anxious and you're more, I can't lose this trade, I can't afford that, I can't do this, I can't do that. And oh my God, I made so much money. Like the more distant you are from your baseline emotional set, the more difficult it's going to be just to execute, right? So your trading is going to diminish. And then you're going to realize, well, what happened? Oh, I just sized up and now I can't think anymore and my trading's gone to shit, right? So I'd rather execute well and hit those same goals over a longer period of time rather than just, turbo scale sizing minute by minute. I think along the time that I've been in crypto, there's only been like fucking 5 traders that I can think of off the top of my head that are really good at scaling their size with their capital 1-to-1 as it comes in. Outside of that, the rest of us are pretty mortal when it comes to that. I'm pretty behind on chat, guys, so bear with me. The quality of questions here is wonderful. I think it's just the grinders left in this market. Absolutely, dude. All the tourists are gone. Anyone who's here 8 months in this bear market has not left to say, fuck crypto, I'm out of here. Fuck markets, I'm out of here. I'm going to equities, I'm doing this. My life is more important than these numbers on the screen. Like everyone has given up, right? If you're here in 2026 in June in this slop of a market, you're only here because you're actually, you're motivated, you're driven, you want to get good. You understand the opportunity that this place provides, right? Four-hour trend might catch up in time to be confluent with the macro range. So I will say this about the 4-hour trend. I don't think it's provided much value over the past, I don't even know how long. I'll just do a different chart. It doesn't have all these lines. All right, 4-hour trend, right? Ask yourself by looking at this. What did you say? Let me read it before. Might catch up in time to be confluent with the macro range value very low. It could be, but ask yourself, how many great trade signals has the 4-hour trend given us over the past couple months, right? Is this a trend that the market has been respecting? Maybe sometimes, but not really. Give you a little bit of sauce. The best trends on Bitcoin over the past 6 months for me has been the 12-hour and the 1-hour. Maybe the 15-minute, 5-minute sometimes, but like 12-hour, 1-hour has been phenomenal. 4 hours has been kind of dog shit. Why do I not care about Coinbase spot flows? There's too much psyop in Coinbase spot flows. Like, you have to do an extra level of analysis when it comes to spot, because there's a lot of limit chasing, limit lifting, limit asks. So you're doing an extra layer of complexity, whereas Bybit spot flows or taker flows are really clean. You see buying in, excuse me, did I say Bybit? I meant Binance. Binance spot taker flows are very clean. You see buying, you're going to see the reflection in price. You see selling, you're going to see the reflection in price. Very easy to diagnose as far as a kind of leading indicator. When it comes to Coinbase, there's a lot of psyop. You have to go an extra level. Is this absorption? Where's the limit chase coming from? Is there a passive soaker, right? So if you just want clean one-to-one analysis, you stick with Binance. If you're comfortable and confident doing the extra layer, yeah, Coinbase is fine. I haven't found much value. You can ask Nelly in here. I haven't really cared about Coinbase flows. Fuck, it feels like it's been 4 months, maybe longer. Nelly's probably got a better memory when it comes to that, of when I started shitting on Coinbase flows. But yeah, I've been kind of ignoring it, and I haven't seen any, reason to change that. Do you guys at Paragon recommend to use funded prop accounts? So my main I never used, personally, I've never used a funded account, right? The reason for that is the same reason. So like when I first started trading, I don't think I've ever told this story before, but when I started trading and I became like obsessed with it, right? And I was half in, half out of medicine, right? I had my board exams. I was taking board exams. I was kind of still mentally involved with trading. This is like 2020, 2021, 2022 even. 2023 or 2022, like the end of the year, I was preparing for the interview process, traveling around the country, taking interviews for residency and stuff like that. So anyways, I was 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And I think, I was talking to my parents at the time, and I was like, oh, dude, I really love this trading thing. Like, I'm obsessed with it. This is where my heart is, and this is what I really want to do. And I'm going to take a year off and really lock into trading. I'm going to give it my all, right? This was the discussion I had with them like early 2022. And I think 6 months later, it was like June, July, August, summer of 2022, my dad offered to give me some money. He's like, look, I know you're not trading with a bunch. Let me give you a little bit more. You can have a little bit more cash, right, in your accounts, whatever. Maybe you can scale faster, whatever. And I remember saying to him distinctly, if I can't make money, I'm just making up numbers. If I can't make money with $100, what makes you think I can make money with $1,000? And I think that's the same idea with prop, right? The whole idea with prop is, you get access to more capital quickly. But if you cannot scale $100 into $1,000, how are you going to scale 100,000 into $1 million? Right. That's my thought process when it comes to prop, right? I think, people want to take shortcuts. They want access to capital quicker because they think it'll make them rich quicker. And I think you are, missing the point, right? Yes, a lot of people can trade well in a nutshell. And what I mean by that, they can go on streaks. They can have a good month. They can have 2 good months. They can have 3 good months, and then they give it all back. They make emotional mistakes and bad decisions and go too big on certain trades and take too much of a drawdown and, put themselves in too much of a hole. So, getting access to a bunch of capital is basically you're kind of taking away some of your training, right? You're going to deal with those same issues with more money as you would with less money, right? And if you're competent with less money, you can always scale up. So I think for anyone that's like rookie, new, beginning, and thinks that like, oh, if I just had more money, I'd be a better trader. It's not how that works. Check near. I'll check a bunch of altcoins, I promise, in a bit. Let me get caught up with chat, and when we're out of questions, we can start looking at some alts. For your long today, did you view that as an expansion candle retracement as well? Not really. I was mainly looking at the consolidation from pre-market and saying I don't want to see this drop below this consolidation pre-market. So this consolidation right here, this was a stronger invalidation for me. I was like, we spent a good amount of time building value here. We got a really strong move. We probably shouldn't trade underneath this. So my bias to the boys this morning, I think I said it in the execution channel, like I would rather us front run the daily VWAP. I know it looks messy because a lot of momentum days do look messy. I don't know about Doc, but Mag doesn't recommend prop accounts. I don't really actually know Mag's take on prop accounts. Do I remember, Doc, I remember you saying something about alts bottoming out a lot earlier than Bitcoin. Do you keep that in mind with spot buying even before Bitcoin looks at 100%? One of my best trades in my career was making that call. I've made that call dozens of times since then, but one of my best calls ever was right here. And if you guys, funny enough, do you guys remember what this move was? Do you remember what this bloodbath was? It was Israel and Iran headlines. It was war headlines, right? We had this big puke. Altcoins puked hard. PEPE specifically was the coin that I was obsessed with and trading the hell out of back in this time. These things puked, or Bitcoin puked. I bought PEPE at the weekly trend. I remember buying like 4 coins. PEPE obviously the best one. It was like PEPE, Solana. I think one of them was a gaming coin, Prime. That was the only one out of the 4 or 5 that I bought that got invalidated. The other 4 were good. Render was one. I can't remember the 4th one. I think maybe it was ONDO. It was like Render, ONDO, PEPE, and Solana. Anyways, and Prime. Was it Prime? Maybe I'm thinking of a different coin. But anyways, Bitcoin made a lower low, and those altcoins actually made a higher low and made higher highs. The altcoins were the better trade. Why? Remember, again, altcoins top, bleed, and start bottoming process first. Bitcoin is going to top, bleed, and bottom a little bit later. The S&P 500 is going to top, bleed, and bottom last. It's the risk curve rotation. I have a thread on this on Twitter, right? Go to my highlights section. There's a mega thread of like 25, 30. I don't know how many things are in that mega thread. One of them will be about risk curve rotations. Go read that if you haven't already. Can you explain why you didn't enter at the long puke this morning at 10 minutes after the open and what your thoughts were at the time? Basic thoughts this morning were, I want to see some momentum loss, right? This moment right here, when this happened, I just wanted to see the market respect the daily value area high, right? So I have nothing kind of to work with, right? What are the things that I was working? 15-minute trend. We're a momentum day. Ideally on a momentum day, you want to hold a daily value area high. The only real confluence I have is the 15-minute trend. Where do I enter in here, right? As close to the daily value area high as possible. What's my invalidation? A bleed toward the daily VWAP. When we front run my point of interest, I don't want to chase, right? So if you're front running this, I don't really want to chase. When we start looking like shit and bleeding through it, I don't want to bid a bleeder. That's why I drew this whole rounding thing. If we can round off here, it gives me a much better invalidation process. I can tighten up my stops. I can have a much clearer mental framework. I can start building on like, this is what I want to see. This is what I want to see. Okay, the market is doing what I want to see. It agrees with my thesis, agrees with my idea. Great. When we do something like this and we long in this location, right? Let's say we even were right? We ended up being right. What is your thought process going to be? Okay, great. Fantastic, right? I'm so happy I front ran it. Oh shit. What's happening here? Oh, wait, we're bleeding? Am I invalidated? I think I'm wrong. I'm probably invalidated. Okay, so I cut, right? 2 candles later, we rip back up. Now you're thinking, did I cut too early? How do I get back in this position? What's the best idea for me to do? Do I need to buy a dip? Whatever. Let's say you long here. Now we immediately go underwater. Now you're chopping yourself up. You're feeling uncomfortable for about 30 minutes and saying, did I make the wrong ideas? It's just no lower high, this consolidation and this This looks heavy. It looks like it's going to bleed out. Let me just cut this for break even again. So what do I want to say with this? You want to trade from a position of power. Just remember that you're human at the end of the day, and you're susceptible to making these like human mistakes with your trading. So when you put yourself in a position of power and see the things you want to see, and then make it very clear, I'm wrong if, I'm right if, then you execute, right? Then it makes the whole trade play out a lot easier and smoother for you. Why not use 4-hour trend instead of the 15-minute? 4-hour was respected much longer. 4-hour, like maybe I'm behind in chat, so you already heard me respond to this. I think the 4-hour has been dog shit. Right? For this trend right here, the 12-hour trend was the best. For the downtrend, the 12-hour trend was the best. For this capitulation, the hourly trend was the best. Let me just show this to you rather than saying it. 12-hour trend compression, 12-hour trend uptrend, 12-hour trend loss, 12-hour trend downtrend. 1-hour trend for our capitulation climax move. 1-hour trend, 1-hour trend. When the 1-hour trend broke, you built a range. 1-hour trend was goated. Where's the 4-hour trend in all of this? Is it giving me any kind of signals? No, the 12-hour trend was the signal from here. It held from the top. The 4-hour created a consolidation. The 4-hour created whatever. Maybe you want to consider this a signal. If this is your only take-home point, then I would suggest you to look at some other time frames. If you waited for the 4-hour as a signal, you flipped bullish over here. If you looked at the 1-hour, you changed your mindset over here a lot sooner. So Slime, we talked a lot about the monthly value area high one already. If you scroll up a bit, Zero asked me a question about his short at the monthly value area high, so I already covered that one. So I kind of just want to go over it again. I apologize, man. Slippage and liquidity largely fixed on variational. 0.03, yeah, fixed. I understand. 2-bit king clip works fine. I think maybe nowadays it works fine. I'm still seeing some issues, Nelly, with market orders slipping. It literally is hitting my max slippage like every time without fail. Like I'm never getting filled at the moments. Also, I had a limit order this morning on variational like this, and price literally did this, and it wicked through it, and it didn't fill. I literally watched this happen this morning, and that was the second execution that you saw where I was like, why the fuck didn't that limit fill? And then price nuked, and then I clipped out again towards, I was like, what the hell is this? Hi Doc, how do you align VWAPs in different time frames? Like if the weekly VWAP acts as support, but monthly VWAP caps, vice versa, how do you anticipate those? So do you have any experience trading price action or EMAs? The same concept would apply, right? So you could say the same thing. Okay, we're in an hourly downtrend, but the 12 hours this, we're in an hourly uptrend, the 12 hours that. Okay, the daily market structure is bullish, the weekly market structure is bearish, the 15-minute is bullish, the 1-minute is bearish, right? It's the exact same thing. VWAPs are no different. So if you're comfortable with trading the market or analyzing the market on different time frames, either using price action or EMAs, VWAPs the exact same thing. You would do the exact same thing. You would say the lower time frame is taking us into the higher time frame, you know? Which also did you buy? I guess the nostalgia one is PEPE. Yeah, I bought some PEPE on the 10-10 sweep. So this swept the 10-10 sweep, and I picked some up over the weekend. And what I told the boys with this one is I'm expecting nothing, right? Like, I'm expecting nothing from this. I bought it just because I'm like, dude, this thing's down 90-something% now. What are we down? 91%. Okay, we're down 91%. We've been hanging around the same levels. We got the 10-10 sweep. It happened with like Sailor FUD and everything like that. Why not pick up a small bag, right? At the very best, like the most euphoric PEPE situation, maybe it trades back into like 10 or 12, right? At the bare minimum, it'll probably trade back to like 70. Even that is like a 2.5x, right? Is it going to happen this year? Probably not. Will it happen at some point next year or the year after? Yeah. So it's just some capital going to some beta, right? Like it's probably not going to outperform Bitcoin low to high for the entire cycle, but it'll have a brief moment of like popularity, you know, flavor of the week. Okay, let's pump memes this week. I've noticed like the big moves happen on Futures Open on Bitcoin. Do you recommend trading that? I think Nelly locks in every Sunday for Futures Open. I think he trades Futures Open every Sunday. I don't. Last night I was chilling with the homies and the wife and watching the UFC card. I have my I have my hours that I trade, and that's it, man. Everything else outside of those hours, I couldn't give a damn about. So I think I'm still behind in chat. Do you can you explain what you use it for? I'm trying to think I've covered it enough. Do you put more emphasis on what happened in the past or what's happening right now when it comes to trends? Both. Absolutely both. Historical analysis of what the market respects is important, and what's currently respecting is very important as well. Shout out to your dad. That was nice. He's a very, very supportive father. What's your best advice for revenge trading, managing risk, and being patient? How do you remove emotions from trading? You don't remove emotions from trading. You're an emotional person. All humans are emotional. You're never going to get rid of your emotions. Let me put it to you this way. Do you guys think, athletes are these like at the end of the day, trading is a sport, right? So you have to look for athletes, look to athletes, look at an athlete's mindset, right? LeBron or Federer or Djokovic or all these greats, right? Do they not show emotions even 20 years into their career? Djokovic he's 40 years old now. He's won every record in the book. He still wears his emotions on his sleeve. You still see him getting pissed when he's playing poorly. You still see him, ripping his shirts when he's winning. Emotions are part of the game. They're always going to be there. So denying your emotions and becoming a stoic is not a reasonable goal. What you should do with your emotions is learn to recognize them, learn your triggers, understand yourself, take a good amount of time to self-reflect. I'm in a bad mindset today. I didn't sleep enough today. I'm agitated today. Acknowledge that. Write it in your journal every day. Write it in your trade journal, right? Every time I make a bunch of money, I give it back. Well, why is that? Every time I'm up, I'm too euphoric. I'm, bouncing off the walls. Write that down. The more data you get, the more quicker you can recognize yourself before you, self-sabotage. I learned this the hard way. I think I talked about this in the Para stream last week. By the way, quick shill, and I won't do it for long. We do have discounts running for Paragon for new members right now. It's going to be on the Paragon Twitter. If you guys are interested from learning from myself or Magus or Charlie or even Nelly now. Nelly's got his own channel in there. Come hang out in Paragon. I think, we don't do discounts often, so take advantage. I think it's pretty fucking steep discounts right now. Anyways, moving on. One of my ways that I learned this was in 2023, right? I hit some really strong trades to open up the year. I bought the bottom after FTX, Bitcoin, and Solana, right? I had those bags. They ripped upwards. I had a really good de-risk. I can't remember now. It's been so long if it was here or here where the FOMC came and there was like a Fed pivot or a dovish Fed or something like that. And the market really liked it. And people said, oh yeah, now we get long and get bullish. And I de-risked into that. I said, I'm going to buy this weekly breaker, right? And we got the weekly breaker. It came with the USDC peg FUD. I bought that. This shit ripped like 50%. That was a banger trade. And guess what I was doing in these things? I was loosening up my discipline. I was relaxing. I was trading coins I don't normally trade. I was doing things I don't normally do. I was being really loose with my money. I was giving a little bit of it back. And this ended up happening a few more times to me where I recognize, okay, every time I make a bunch of money, I'm prone to being a little bit more loose, having a little bit less discipline. So when I ran it the fuck up over here, right, into these moves, guess what I did for the rest of the summer? I did not touch shit. I sold PEPE when it made the higher high in June. I de-risked a bunch of crap. I think all I had on the books for a lot of this, and this is reflected in the P&L. I was supposed to show you the variational P&L. I forgot about that. Is my account looked like this for that summer. It was like straight up, and then it went sideways for 8 months, and then straight up again for this. I did not allow myself to give any money back. And what is that? Trial through fire. I understood I'm prone to doing this. I'm prone to doing this. I'm prone to doing this. So when that moment came again, I said, let me take a step back until my emotions calm down, until I'm used to this new capital value. Let me chill. Let me calm down. Let me reach my baseline. And then I'm ready to trade again. Being patient is a skill. Just like anything else, dude. It's a skill that you got to work on. Training your muscles in the gym, training your mind in the books. It's just a skill. You're gonna need reps. How do you quantify significant flows from Binance Spot, etc.? I'm on your Agri template right now. Do you gauge looking at candle size versus historical candles? Okay, so like let's just give you an example right now, right? Someone came in and selling, and he's moving price. I just look at this simply and I say effort is being rewarded, right? There is a seller in the books. He came in, he offloaded Bitcoin spot. Price is responding to it. There's a lack of absorption. Therefore, there is no counterparty absorbing that. When price stops respecting the exact, selling or selling calms down, that can be signal in and of itself. Either there's a counterparty soaking the sells at some point, the market stops caring about it, the counterparty flows from the takers from other exchanges are strong. Then you look at where is that coming from, right? All of these things are how you analyze kind of like taker flows and it all comes down to one thing. Is that effort being rewarded or going unrewarded? If it's rewarded, that's one type of signal. If it's unrewarded, that's a different type of signal. Nelly's already in chat anyways. Why don't you two do a duo stream? Well, I'm not planning on doing a long stream today. What are we? An hour in? I'll probably chill for like 30, 40 minutes more. I'm not joking. One of my best friends also. What are your thoughts, Doc? What are the things that feel productive, but they really isn't? And what are the things you feel is unproductive? It's a great fucking question, man. You're gonna make me think. What are things that feel productive but aren't? I don't even know, dude. You got me stumped. Like in trading, what is something that feels productive but is kind of you're wasting your time? Man, I mean, this is just going to come to bias, but I think, paying attention to news for me, like that's going to be a personal one. I think it's a complete waste of time. It feels productive. You feel like you're getting information and edge. Oh, if I just track what's happening with the war, Trump said this, Trump said that, Trump said this, Trump said that. I think that's a waste of time, but I think it's a trap where people feel like it's productive and they're gaining an edge from it. When in reality, I don't use any of it. None, zero. And I trade perfectly fine. I was bullish last week, going into the weekend, going into the weekly open. Now people are saying, oh, we're up because of a deal. Who gives a fuck? I was already bullish. It didn't help me. And something that feels unproductive but is, man, you've stumped me, man. That was a great question, though. I like that question. You're going to make me think, but just for the sake of the stream and not sitting here and pausing to think about it for too long, I'm going to move on. So I hope you're satisfied with that answer. Challenge: Doc tries to not play with his AirPod case. My rings, I do this with them all the time. I just like flip them like coins in my hand. Voice crack 2 today. My voice is sore. I was screaming a lot last night. I was on a heater with my parlay, bro. I was 5 out of 5 going into the Pereira fight. I didn't think Pereira was gonna lose to Cyril Gane, and I definitely didn't think Topuria was gonna get knocked out. Those are unbelievable. Both of fights were unbelievable. What up, HM? Tell me you're ape short right now. I'm not short. I'm flat. Actually, I had a runner in the long. How much is left on my long? It's probably 10 or 15%. Just runners are bullshit. I'm gonna leave it open for a little bit. One last runner for an extra 100 points. Kind of dumb in hindsight now. All right, dude. I'm caught up with chat. We had one question on gold. Let's look at gold. What did I do? USDT. Crazy force of habit. So first thing I want to look at is the weekly trend still being held. No. So did we even respect this on the way up? Maybe once. All right, daily trend bullying you through the weekly sweep of this capitulation wick, consolidation before next expansion. Let me take a look at the VWAP scan before we say anything. Previous year's value area high. Okay. Now I've got enough to work with. All right. So I would say you're out of a trending environment for the first time in a long time. I don't think this has much respect for the weekly, to be honest. Like 1-2 tags, front runs the entire way. I don't trade TradFi that much. There might be a better trend for this one. The daily looks fucking phenomenal. I'm pretty sure I said this to the boys back then when someone asked me about gold, is like, oh, if we lose the daily trend, we're going to gap down to the weekly. Previous year's value area high. So here's your high, here's your low. So this is the way I would mark this out, is here and probably like here. Then we can get rid of the indicators. That's a range we're working with. We understand daily trend was a god trend on the way up, and it has been capping price on the way down. We're bouncing into the daily trend right now. If we can hold the lows and break the daily trend, you will get another pop up towards mid-range and range highs, right? That's the way I would look at this for now. If we get acceptance below, which is that prior yearly value area high, it opens up a rotation to prior year's VWAP. But yeah, the overwhelming strength that it had for about a year and a half is no longer there at the moment. Definitely a character shift for now. The best you want to hope for is a range forming here, right? Whenever you have a repricing rally, right, you're going to have like undervalued, fair value somewhere, overvalue, right? You're going to go from overvalue to fair value, maybe dip to, you know, undervalued again, and then the market will reprice, and then eventually, if it's a good asset, it'll have another ripper down the line. Parlays are statistical traps. You should be aware of this, dog. 100%, 100%. The fun thing with a parlay, so what a parlay really is it takes your trade. So you put $10 in and payout is $20. It just takes your $20 winning, and instead of giving you $20, it bets $20 on the second trade or the second bet. And say the payout for trade or bet 2 was 20 to 35. Instead of giving you the 35, it puts the 35 into bet 3, right? That's what it's really doing, and you have to hit all of them. So you can manually parlay instead of doing a book parlay or whatever, right? What you could do is just take the first bet, cash out your winnings, place the second bet, cash out your winnings, place the third bet, cash out your winnings. Like you could just keep full sending it again and again and again and again into the next one if you feel like, and then you can cut it off at any point. It's just, it's a fun, lazy thing to do, dude. The only point, the point of gambling on this stuff is not to make money. It's just to have some fun with your friends and have a little extra excitement. It's literally just gambling for the sake of gambling. Can I have your dark theme colors? It's in para. If I feel like posting it on CT, I'll do it, dude. You didn't know that's how it worked? That's how it works. That's how parlay numbers get to those, oh, $20 pays you 20 grand. It's because it's taking your winnings and putting the entire winnings in the second bet. You can test this for yourself and do the math next time you're on a gambling app if you ever feel like it. Okay, so that's gold. I hope the homie that asked for gold is still in here. I remember someone asking for near. I think I have this on my chart already. Previous month's VWAPs being goated. Previous month's VWAP, pretty damn well respected, right? Respect on the way down, respect the value very low, becan rotational, beautiful rotations, reaccept below, end up being a bleeder, rejection of previous month's value very low, get back into prior month's value, perfect retest of prior month's value very low. Next high side target for near would be right here, like 330-ish. Right, obviously this will be your first level, but if you can maintain like sort of a trending environment, get acceptance through here, that opens up previous month's value area high. For someone new in your streams, can you give an overview of your model of how you trade? Seems like you mentioned the daily or weekly trend. The way that I use trends is for trend bias. The market doesn't often trend, but when it trends, and it respects trends, I use trends, right? I use 3 different trends. One is a dynamic trend that changes based on the time frame that I'm using. Hourly becomes an hourly trend. 4 hour becomes a 4 hour trend. Daily is fixed and the weekly is fixed. The way that I actually execute and trade is going to be on an intraday basis using VWAP and order flow. Right, so I'm going to actually be executing on Bitcoin on a 1 minute chart intraday like this using VWAPs and using order flow. Some taker flows, you know, a little bit of footprint sometimes for confirmation, open interest changes, order book depths, right? Spot depths, perp depths, right? These are the things I use. Taker flows across multiple exchanges, volume analysis, open interest changes, VWAPs. That's pretty much it, right? The levels that I find sometimes can be SRs, sometimes can be values like composites, like prior fixed range volume profiles, value area highs, value area lows, VWAPs. So everything on the right is kind of just like bias formation of like, I think it's, you know, I think it's more likely we go up. I think it's more likely we go down. I think it's more likely we range. We're trading at the discount of the range. I'm going to be looking for bullish triggers. We're trading at the premium of the range. Let me look for bearish triggers. The first test of this level, let me look for bearish triggers. Someone opened on order flow a huge amount of longs into resistance and the market's not rewarding him from that behavior. Let's invert him and get, you know, be in that position until he pukes, right? The high time frame bias is we're in a weekly uptrend. We lost the weekly uptrend. Okay, look for one of two things, either a range to form or a reversal, right? So we look at it this way. We say we've been in a 3-year uptrend. We lose that uptrend. We're looking for a reversal or a range, right? The next, you know, logical levels for this range to calm down is probably prior highs, prior 8-month value composite, right? So as we trade into this, we're looking for signs of exhaustion and absorption, right? Have the order book depths flipped? Are the takers, the sellers being rewarded for their actions? Have they been exhausted? Are people out of coins? The people that are, you know, on the counterparty, are they long and are they being rewarded for their long efforts, right? So it all comes down to order flow. Everything on the high time frame is just like levels and bias. All execution is done over here using VWAP and order flow. In my opinion, something that seems productive but isn't is watching videos and okay, I see what you're saying. Feels productive that isn't is wasting too much time with education, right? You're just getting educational overload and feeling like, oh, I need to learn more, I need to learn more, I need to learn more, I need to learn more. Yeah. That's a really good point, actually. I think you can get stuck in that trap of feeling like this comfort and safety that you're constantly learning something new, but the issue with that is because you're not getting reps in with what you're learning, you're just going to keep looking for the next thing and the next thing and the next thing until you get analysis paralysis. You're going to be like, this signal's firing this and this signal's firing that, and they're conflicting with each other. I don't know what to do. Let me just not take a trade. What you need to do is learn a very simple framework, start trading with it, get comfortable with it, learn the nuances of it, get experience with it. And then, you know, as you're taking trades, and then as you get experience with that system, maybe you can start adding a tool here or there, right? You can always add things very slowly, but first you want to build a very strict framework. When it pretty much all of it comes down to reviewing your trades, journaling, get the reps in, I think you have to define a structure for how much time you want to dedicate to each thing. Well said, man. Well said. What's your read when price is going up with Nance spot selling and all the bid is coming from perps? I mean, I think you know the answer to this question. It's just a perp-led move, right? So any type of buying and any type of selling can be simplified. It's just that, right? Buying is buying, selling is selling. Why do we place such an emphasis on spot versus perps? Well, it comes down to basic human psychology. Me and you experience this as well. So let's say I wake up one morning and I decide I want to invest in X coin, right? And I buy that coin. And 10 minutes later, I'm 3% underwater. Am I likely to sell that coin because I'm 3% underwater after I made the decision, hey, I'm going to take 50 grand, I'm going to put 50 grand in this coin, and my thesis for this is I'm buying this because it's going to be bullish going into this thing and this event 2 months from now, and it's sitting at support and it's, you know, been in a consolidation. I want to buy this coin. I want to speculate. I don't really want to trade it, but I'd like to buy it and see how it plays out going into that event, right? That's your thesis. That's why you bought it. You're 3% underwater. You're not going to close it. Now let's go to person B. They wake up this morning. They want to trade and they go, oh, I think we're going to bottom here and we're going to reverse. I'm longing. This is my invalidation, right? And price goes 0.5% against you or 1% against you. You go, oh, my invalidation hit, let me puke. Therefore, when we see spot versus perp positioning, at the end of the day, both people are buying. They're both buy side pressure. You can, analyze it the same way, effort being rewarded, effort going unrewarded. But the spot buyer is less likely to become a net seller 10 minutes later versus the perp buyer. If he goes underwater, can be very exposed to being a seller, right? So if sellers are winning in price, right, and they're winning locally, a lot of times the people that created that buy wave now end up creating a sell wave versus spot buying is not likely going to turn around 30 minutes later and turn into spot selling. Ever since you've been on the indicators you use, do you find yourself using price action less or a combination of both? Yeah, I think the beautiful thing that Orderflow did, this is something that Magus preaches a lot. He's like, until you learn order flow, you don't really understand what is going into a candle. And I think his best explanation for me was a couple years ago when someone asked him, it might have been me, it's probably not me, someone asked him about candle closes. Like, do you pay attention to candle closes and wicks and whatever? And he gave someone a hypothetical. He's like, imagine someone wanted to sell 1,000 Bitcoin, right? And there's a daily candle close, and it's, for my time, it's 8 p.m. my time is the candle close, right? Let's say he sells at 7:59. Well, he's going to create negative sell pressure, and whatever the daily move is now going to have a wick, right? Versus if he sells at 8:01, 2 minutes later, and the daily candle looks like a Chad and it closes at the highs, and the next daily candle opens up down. One of these is going to make you bearish. One of these is going to make you bullish. But in reality, it's fucking irrelevant. It doesn't matter. Where a guy decides to execute, whether it's at 7:59 or 8 p.m., is going to change the way candles look, especially a large, high volume whale type of participant. But it doesn't actually matter. Order flow matters. Why he executed, where he executed, what's the counterparty doing? Are people going to lift? Are they going to buy the dip? Who's buying the dip? Are they buying it well? Are they being supported? Are they being rewarded? Like, these things matter more. So in a lot of ways, like, SFPs can be false signals, because a lot of times in uptrend, you're just going to have an SFP and then an SFP and then an SFP and an SFP, and prices just keep grinding higher. It's a false signal, right? So there's nuance to price action that you learn when you start trading with order flow. Get Doc a betting sponsorship, bro. I thought I was going to win all 7 legs of the parlay last night, which, by the way, would have been a 12x payout. So it wasn't, it was going to be kind of nice. And I was going to tweet it out. I was going to tweet out my, my parlay and be like, someone get me a rain bet deal right now. All right. Are there any, we're coming into, 90 minutes into the stream? Let's do this. I'll do a look at 5 coins, right? I don't want to do like 20, but let's do 5. And let's try to pick the best ones, right? Now, when I say altcoins, guys, there's going to be 99% are going to look like this. They're going to look like this. They had a bull market. They had euphoria. They came down. They might have complacency. They're doing this, and they're chilling like this. If your coin looks like this, I'm going to give you the exact same analysis for every single one of these, right? So let's try to avoid that, because maybe I'll look at one of them and I'll give you an example, and you can just apply that same example to the next 99 coins, because they're all going to look the same. But let's do 5. What are you guys interested in right now? Charlie has one. He has the connects. Actually, you know what's funny is Zero Rainbet actually did DM me. I have a DM from them in November of last year, and I just never replied, never accepted it. Last question on Bitcoin. Now looks like 50% retrace of expansion candle value area 1. So what I would say on the long side quickly before we move on is the point of interest that I was kind of mentally working with has been hit. So now you're kind of forcing longs into resistance, right? If you want to maintain long bias, I think what I would do is just give myself a little bit of time. Give myself an hour, half an hour, even half a day, and see if something I like actually forms, or am I just trying to, absolutely force something today when I'm into resistance. Hype, ZEC, say, Jito. I should look at Jito. It's up like 40% today. The promo code cannot be used on 3-month pricing option. It should be able to, man. Absolutely should be able to. If you have any issues with that, just DM me or Nelly or Charlie or even Magus, and we'll try to help you out. But it should absolutely work. I think the thing is, the codes aren't working with crypto. So if you're trying to pay with crypto, that might be the issue. They're only working for cards right now because it's just easier for us. We're not a tech company. It's just so easy for us to take cards, and crypto is like a whole bunch of headache with taxes and everything like that. Not taxes, it's more of like moving the money around and getting it sorted and everything like that. But yeah, the code should work. Okay. So let's start with Gito. I like that. All right, very clean. Extremely volatile. Holy shit. Okay. Expansion, long-standing consolidation, expansion. Right? This is a clean break from value. I don't need the weekly trend, I don't need the rolling, I don't need anything. This is all I'm going to be working with. What is the market respecting? So Gito is respecting the daily trend. Tag bounce, tag bounce, tag bounce, tag bounce, tag bounce, tag bounce. So Gito's respecting the daily trend. Noted. Number 2, built value, expanded away from value. The next thing I'd be looking at is what trend helped carry this move. So let's go down a low time frame. Let's just guess. Was it the 15? 15 is pretty clean. Let's look at the 5. 15 is probably the cleanest, right? So any pullback into here, into the 15-minute trend, could be a buy the dip opportunity. Let's look at how the... Wow, this is a absolute ripper, dude. So since I don't trade alts on low time frame, first thing I do is just look at the daily VWAP and see, right? If we bounce here, we might get a nice mechanical reaction. That would be confluent with the 15-minute trend, 73 or 73 right here. So it would be in the 15-minute trend. Great. Maybe a mechanical bounce from here for continuation. But largely speaking, what I would say is at a certain point, whether it's from here or a couple hours from now, the 15-minute trend is going to break and a new range is going to form. And you're going to have a low, a high, a low. And all you really want to do if you want to play long-sided continuation is try to be bullish as this range forms, right? If you're unsure where to place that range, when the 15-minute trend breaks, let's do a hypothetical, right? Let's say we do this and we come down and then we lose a 15-minute, right? What I'm going to do is drop a fixed range volume profile from somewhere in here, right? And I'll put it on extend right, so it'll just keep moving along with us, right? We create a low. I probably don't buy this. It bounces up, right? The fixed range volume profile starts looking like this. And the next time it bounces towards the lows, that's a opportunity to buy the dip. Take it to range high. That's your trade right here. If you get an expansion through the highs and a 50% pullback, that's probably another long to play continuation out of this. That's the trades that I take off Gito. Others BTC, you did ask that, so that's what I'll go to next. Not a chart that I am familiar with looking at. Okay, so what is this telling us? This is telling us that altcoins have been terrible investments for crypto since basically 2022, right? Others, I believe, is what, coins in the top 100 or something like that. Consolidation since February 2025. This would be like your classic altcoin accumulation range. Maybe altcoins or others has a move against Bitcoin. Maybe it continues ranging. That's all we can do with this chart. Could either just continue ranging right here for a little bit, but it does seem like downside momentum has been dissipating on others BTC for about a year now. Is it going to continue or is it going to reverse? Right? Hard to tell at this very moment. We could look at what Bitcoin dominance just makes this cleaner. So I will remind you guys, down here, all right, this is the start of, actually, you know what I could do is I could just put, all right. This right here, this was Luna, right? This was Luna capitulating. And when Luna absolutely obliterated the market, look how much it decimated altcoins. Bitcoin dominance went straight up, right? Luna absolutely wrecked altcoins. And I remember, I think Solana went from like 180 to 40 or something like that. Something ridiculous, right? AVAX was like $100 and it went to like $20, right? Altcoins got demolished. This is showing up in Bitcoin dominance. The next big FUD move was 3AC. 3AC, Bitcoin dominance actually went down. Why? Because altcoins had already kind of capitulated. So altcoins look like this. They went straight down. Maybe they got a little bit of relief. And they just started doing this. They started forming like a little bit of an accumulation range. Bitcoin did this and Bitcoin did that. Bitcoin was selling off. Altcoins started forming accumulation ranges, right? That's why you're seeing this kind of Bitcoin dominance angle here. So what are we seeing here? Oh shit. Oh shit. Where did we go? Bitcoin dominance going up, Bitcoin dominance going down. What is that telling you over the last week or two, that move down that we had from 80K to 60K? It's like altcoins have already been shit on and demolished and sold off. They're just kind of chilling in accumulation ranges now. That's really all I'm gathering from all of this. High time frame looks pretty bottomed. Let me go back to GTO to look real quick. Yeah, I can see that. I can 100% see that. 1010 wick traded below the 1010 wick, reclaimed with some force, put in a long-standing range. Breaking out of that range, you're looking for another little mini range to form here. If it completely sells off, you'd look back at the daily trend. Did you say what other alt you bought? Oh, it was AKT. So AKT is a coin that my friend shilled me. He's been shilling it in Paragon, and he has a really good hit. Oh, by the way, it's Agony Beard. You guys probably follow him on CT. This guy was a very good coin picker last cycle. I don't know what his hit rate was for coin picking, but I swear it was like 80%, man. He was very on it. He very rarely missed. So when he said that he believes the fundamentals of AKT far surpass the market cap and he thinks it could be a ripper again, you know, I just believed him. Right, so we got a retest of this. This is over a weekend, and I picked up some spot at like 58. This shit's up like 40-50%. Wick to wick, I think. What is this? Wick to wick, 62%. My actual entry and where price is, maybe like 40%. ETH, we need to give Zed cope. That's true. He is more bullish on ETH this cycle than Bitcoin. This looks like it's just bleeding back out down to the lows, but maybe when it gets here, ETH will have a resurgence over Bitcoin again. I don't think there's anything else we need to do with ETH other than ETH BTC. I think these levels on my chart are from literally 2 cycles ago. Same historical levels giving reactions. Yeah, man. I'm not too bearish. Look at these charts, man. Is this the time to be max bear? No, it's the time to look for opportunity. Why don't you trade alts on low time frame using Orderflow? I don't have that much information on altcoins versus Bitcoin. Bitcoin, I have a lot of information. For altcoins, you're not going to get taker flows the same way you can get. I mean, maybe you could make an agger for an altcoin, but then am I going to make agger for every single altcoin? I just don't care, man. The thing is for me, so here's what trading is. Here's what the boring reality of trading is, guys. You may not want to hear it. When you find an edge and you find a repeatable edge that can make you money consistently, the whole game comes down to, can I be consistent? Can I come in? Can I lock in? Can I be a disciplined worker day in and day out and continue to, you know, can I continue to just execute on my edge every single day? You know, other coins are going to be doing this, that, and the other thing, but like, what's the point for me? At the end of the point, the end of the day, the goal is to get from point A to point B, right? You take a trade, you're trying to get profit. You take a trade, you're trying to get profit. And if I'm successfully doing that repeatedly with an easy manner that gives me work-life balance, there's kind of no reason for me to be trading altcoins, right? That has been my philosophy for the past 18 months now. Maybe longer. No, definitely 18 months. Are you using agents or other AI to help trading? You know what I do with like Claude and stuff and chat is when I get a hunch and I'm like, am I making this up? Am I just emotionally feeling this? Or is there any statistical proof to what I'm thinking? And I'll just run it in Claude or in chat or whatever and be like, give me the data, right? Give me the data on what I'm thinking here. Give me the, you know, hit rate and yada yada, and maybe I can build a thesis around that. That's how I kind of started using CME gaps in 2025. I was like, am I hallucinating this, or is every CME gap filling this year? And I came up with that thesis somewhere in April or May of last year, and then I continued to hammer that same nail for the rest of the year. In 2026, the CME edge is eroded, and now I think there's not even a weekend CME anymore. So, but it was fun while it lasted. That's the way that I really use the agents or AI or anything, is just, I have a hunch. Is this just a hunch, or is this just a feeling, or is there something to this? If there's something to this, let me go see if I can gather some stats. Oh, Agony's here. Thanks, Doc. Appreciate it. I'm not that special. You're doing good, man. Good morning, Doc and Doc Zealots and Doc Concubines. Good morning, Kimchi. Nice to see you, brother. On monthly and weekly, ETH looks interesting. Brother, I think so too. I think so too. That's why I started off the stream. That's why it's a stream title. I think now is the time for optimism. It's not for pessimism anymore. And, you know, straight up, bro, it's like, if Bitcoin sells off any lower, I just look at it as opportunity. I don't look at it as like, I should be fearful. I look at it as, oh, great. Fuck yes, I get to buy Bitcoin at 50K now. Like, this is pure optimism and opportunity time, right? It's not like, oh, there's this new FUD that I need to worry about, and let me make this my entire personality and watch every single headline, and you know, this thing is going to give me all the, oh, you know, I plan to buy Bitcoin at 60K, but I can't now because, you know, this FUD is in the market. It's like, no, you wanted this asset, get it for cheap. So that's all I'm looking at, right? And if Bitcoin, if I'm proposing that Bitcoin could be losing momentum and this starts to play out, literally it bodes well for the entire market. How do you manage risk if you buy spots? Some spot buys have an invalidation at 0. Other spot buys are going to have accumulation range, right? Like invalidations. Like if an altcoin is doing something like this, it did the whole, you know, pump and dump, and I'm buying it somewhere in the accumulation. The invalidation is literally just don't bleed through the accumulation range. That's the main invalidation. I have a whole video on spot invalidations in Paragon. It's a whole like 1 hour lecture of every strategy I use for invalidation, but that's a simple one that applies to you guys right now. Previous patterns would be less and less relevant moving forward. New paradigm, new doc, new squat max. There's a layup positioning trade this week. I think there's like in general. So I've been a Bitcoin accumulator as of recent. Do you really think a peace deal will be signed on a federal black holiday? Dude, I don't give a shit about any peace deals. I have all that shit muted on my Twitter. You guys look at my mute list on Twitter, it's everything you can think of. It's Trump, it's tariffs, it's FOMC, it's CPI, it's NFP, it's everything. Every word, every macro buzzword, every war buzzword, everything is muted. Everything is muted. I don't see anything. I see adorable cat videos on my timeline and posts from my friends. One more leg lower would be great for spot buys. Yeah, I mean, it'd be great, but can we predict it? No. Can it happen? Absolutely. You have a couple options here. It's just kind of wait and see, wait for trends to flip, buy higher, wait for accumulation form, buy the FUD. If there's a capitulation, you get opportunity to buy that. You just have to have a plan from here on out, man. Your plan can be definitely 3 different ways. Like, I'm only going to buy if there's capitulation. Okay, great. Capitulation comes, you buy. Fantastic. That's your plan. If capitulation doesn't come, do you have a backup plan? Right? Make a backup plan. Right? If your plan is I'm going to buy an accumulation range, mark out your levels, mark out your accumulation range, try to buy at a discount of the accumulation range. Fantastic. Right? If your plan is I'm going to wait for trends to flip, trends flip, you get a buy, you get a pull back into the trends, buy that. Great. Just make some plans for yourself. Watch the cat videos, stay gay, reclaim the rainbow. Absolutely, man. Core philosophy right there. Let's take a look at hype real quick before we end. Thing's a monster, dude. This whole thing is a momentum loss bottom here. Just buy the dip and aim up. This thing's a monster. I think I showed you guys a different chart earlier. How did I have this right here? I don't think you're going to get under 52. I think that was the local low in on hype for sure. You get a pullback down here. I think you just buy that. Hey, no problem, Martin. No problem, dude. That's what we're here for. The reason, there's no reason and benefit for me to do public streams anymore. The only reason I do these is I always remember that so much of my foundation and a lot of, the early education that I got came from free public streams from other traders. People like Magus, people like XO. We're out here for no reason, just sharing, sharing some lessons, sharing some education, right? And I remember I was fortunate enough to find those guys early on that helped me shape my initial foundation as a trader, my initial mindset, skill set, everything. And I'm trying to just, give back in the same way. This stream's not sponsored by anything. I'm not coming here. I'm not shilling you anything. When there's a bull market again and someone wants to pay me some money to sponsor the stream, I'll take it. If you just want to give me a couple bucks, I'll slap your name on the YouTube thumbnail and I'll tell you guys about it for a few minutes each stream and we'll go straight back to business. But you got to give back once in a while, But yeah, I don't know if I'm going to do streams every single week. You guys have seen I've been very inconsistent this year, and that's for good reason, right? I'll come on here when I feel like I have stuff to talk about. If it's just going to be the same thing as last week and I don't really have much to share, I probably just won't stream. But just be on the lookout, man. I'll tweet out when I'm streaming and I'll be around. STN. I recognize that PFP is Stein, I believe. What up, dude? What up? You came in for the end of the stream, dude. We're wrapping up now. Anyone have any last minute questions they want me to go through? I'm happy to do it. Otherwise, probably wrapping up in 5-10 minutes or maybe even sooner if there's no questions. Well, we covered a lot today. I think Livid pointed out earlier, he was like, the quality of questions in here is at a pretty high level, and I 100% agree with him. All the fluff is gone. All the tourists are gone. I'm not getting asked questions. Doc, can you look at this meme coin? Doc, can you look at this shit coin? What are your thoughts on this? People came in here with very intelligent questions, trade-related questions, order flow-related questions. I could tell all of you guys are on your own arcs and working hard at this point in the bear market, which is great, man. Inspires other people to do great things as well. If you stuck around and you're here 8 months in and you're watching some guy that's undoxed streaming on YouTube and saying, well, what can I get out of this stream? How do I make my trading better? What can I learn from this stream today? What can I take with myself? What questions can I ask that, I don't have the opportunity to ask other people around me? That's awesome. Shout out to you guys. Likely to reclaim order block at 60, 80, what would you say? 73.6, sorry, dyslexia. I would say, you know, if we're going to maintain this momentum and we continue having strong intraday pressure and we can get through this monthly value area high, where are we? I'm thinking like 70. Right, I'm not thinking about 73 yet or 74 or anything like that. I'm not thinking about monthly open just yet. I'm gonna be focused level to level first. Right, the first big one was the rotation from monthly value area low, which we were talking about the framework using the weekly value. This is the one that I tweeted out. The next target was going to be the monthly value area high. We hit that today in New York session. So I'm going to take a step back. I'm probably not going to trade the rest of the day. I'll come in tomorrow and I'll see where we're at and see what plans we can make. And if we have momentum through the monthly value area high, I'll probably look to take long-sided continuation, firstly up to 68. And I'll, again, take a step back and see and wait and be patient, right? All of this for me is just intraday Bitcoin trading, and in the background we're spot accumulating very slowly and building those bags up because I'm bullish on this industry. Like I said a bunch of times now, I wouldn't be here if I didn't believe Bitcoin's going back to all-time highs. That's the bet, that's the trade, and we're currently in the opportunity. Playing any curveballs? Absolutely not. Not at this moment. I would love, you know, if you're talking from a altcoin perspective, opportunity perspective, no real curveballs yet. It's just we're getting on base. When preparation meets opportunity, bars. Not crypto, but I want to know about gold. I actually talked about gold. Another I was going to say student. Another viewer asked about gold earlier, and I did cover it a little bit. Is there any chart out there that you would use as something to gauge market sentiment and mindshare towards DeFi? It feels like Mythos and AI finding vulnerabilities is very big FUD on DeFi. No, man, I don't have a good answer for you there. I haven't cared or thought about DeFi in a very long time, so I'm definitely not going to have a really good response for you there, unfortunately. Are any of these coins even fall in the DeFi basket? Also, my watch list, for anyone that's wondering why these coins are on here, like the first 10 or 12 on here were put on here fucking, I don't know, July of last year during like a public stream, and they're just there for other people. Like, I don't look at these coins, I don't trade them. A couple of these new ones are new additions because people have been kind of shilling me things, and I'm like, oh, I'll keep an eye on it. What'd you think of Roland Garros? I thought that Sinner has now 3 or 4 times that he's shown propensity to like develop heat exhaustion, and he's got to get that looked into. I think like he's #1 in the world. He's proven a lot already in a short career. He's got too much money, too many people, too many resources around him to not have that dialed in, and I think there's no excuse for losing that match, even if he's dealing with heat stroke. And then Zverev got the freest. He literally got the freest layup of all time, bro. He was never going to win a Grand Slam with Alcaraz and Sinner and you know, even Djokovic. I think that, oh my God, how am I forgetting his name? The Brazilian kid, Fonseca. I think Fonseca should have won the French Open. I was disappointed that he lost in the quarters. But Zverev got a bunny. He got a layup. The gods gave him one. That's probably going to be the only slam he ever wins, and he almost even choked in the finals. I need a Wordle hint. What was today's Wordle? Yesterday's pissed me off. Fuck, I did today's quickly. I can't even remember what the word was now. We'll talk about it in para after, Victim. Some coins like ONDO, Morpho, Pendle, Jito are kind of good DeFi coins, but they're still DeFi carrying that baked in risk now. I should probably add ONDO in here. I think it had a little rally earlier. ONDO was such a good coin for me last cycle. Maybe I need to show it some respect again. Interesting. Good yearly value rotation, holding the yearly VWAP, consolidating. Low time frame breakers on the daily. Maybe a dip buyer. Local resistance 40. Probably throw a fixed range volume profile tool on this entire thing and just play the comp for now. Value area low to value area high. I mean, it's just consolidating, but it is good to see the respect for the yearly, the breakthrough of the yearly, the holding the yearly VWAP. Pretty solid. We're 6 months into the year now. I think the yearly is shaping up to be very valuable. You can see this respect for prior quarterly value area high. So we're developing, value higher and higher. ONDO looks not bad. I have ONDO bags, not financial advice, not financial advice. Indian Cabal alert. The doctor's Cabal is back in it, dude. All right, gents. I think that's going to do it for me. I had fun today. Thank you guys for showing up. Thank you guys for asking good questions, and I will see you when I see you. If I'm not around, guys, just remember the cookbook is out there every week. Myself, Magus, Charlie, Stoic, Mercury, every single week on Monday there's a cookbook drop. So that's where my market thoughts are. They're not on Twitter anymore. I don't write any long form. I don't really care. But they're on cookbook. It's completely free. Sign up. There's a link in the description. And number 2, Paragon's running discounts. I said that I would only shill it once. This is the second shill. I'll shill it on the way out. But Paragon's running discounts. We barely ever run discounts. So, if you've ever been intrigued, you want to hang out with us, every single one of us is trading New York session every single day. Trading chat's popping. Come in, ask questions. There's fucking 1,000 hours of educational videos in there. Magus has a video for literally everything. And come in and watch the streams because you will get a lot more information out of the Paragon streams than the public ones. Anyways, that's my show on the way out. Love you guys. Thank you for showing up, and I'll see you when I see you. Peace.